Hey, you're now tuned in to Underdog Talk. I'm your host, Eric Jones Jr., and I have conversations with successful underdogs. And today we have Miss Whitney Jones. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Um, Question, where your family from? Since we both Joneses.
Oh yeah. So most of my family was from here. So
Never mind. We're not related. We're not related at
we
all.
not related.
Not at all. It'd be funny because people would be like, "You look familiar," and I'd be like, "No, I don't." Like,
You don't know
very
me.
uniquely look image. So if you know me or you saw me, you saw me. Like
Right.
you look like no. My family is from the Jones side. Is from Chicago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you went to the fair yet?
I have not. But I'm probably gonna take my daughter probably next weekend actually. I think that's the last weekend. So
Yeah, I ain't went. I sent my son today, so he went for both of us.
for
I
both
do
of
want
us.
some fair food, so I might see if they bring me some fair food. But I'm not a big fair person. I've never been. Maybe once. I've been
Really?
here since 2009. I don't
Oh
like
wow.
big crowds like that. Even though I like people, I don't like
Mm-hmm.
big crowds like that.
Yeah. So I guess the food ain't worth
Nah,
trying. It ain't worth
I don't
taking
like
that.
standing in line. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
want.
that's true.
I will go to the grocery store and I will see a line and I'll leave. I just buy something out to eat because I'm not standing in line. I'm
Uh,
impatient when it comes to that.
I feel you.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into your story.
Hmm.
And I usually don't have questions prepared, but I have some questions thanks to AI. I don't know if I should say that. They might. Never
Right.
mind. I'm talking about Iverson, not AI. Who they talking about? So, how has so? I guess I don't never go straight into what we talk about the topic or anything. So
Hmm.
we'll talk about the tragic event of your father passing away. Do you remember it, and do you remember your emotions when it did happen?
Oh yeah, I actually remember that specific night.
Mm-hmm.
So it was July 20th, 1998, and I remember my mom woke me and my brother up. It was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and they said something happened. It's an emergency. We got to get to the hospital. So I didn't know who was in the hospital. I don't know what happened. All I know, my auntie came to pick us up, and it was like pouring down raining that night too, or that morning. And I remember the whole drive to the hospital. You know, my aunt is kind of trying to put us in good spirit. Like,
Yeah.
y'all, we get ready to go to Disney World. And I'm like, Disney World at this hour? Like, we ain't packed no bags. I was like, I knew something was off. And I was like, okay, just go with the flow. And I remember making it to the hospital, and my mom kind of went, she was kind of ahead of us. And I remember there was like a doctor and a chaplain that was kind of like in that hallway. And they talked to my mom probably about all of 5 minutes. And I just remember seeing her head drop. And I couldn't tell she was crying or not. Her head dropped, and then they just took her in the room. And I guess she was kind of looking at my dad, making sure, confirming that it was for sure him. At that point, he had already died. So they were basically just relaying the information to us. Like, and the doctor was like, I don't recommend you bring your kids in, because I was 9 and my brother was 3 at the time. So they didn't think it was going to be appropriate. So, and I don't blame them for that. And I just remember my mom coming out, and she just gave me that look like, how am I going to be able to do this? Like that motherly look, like, am I going to be able to do this on my own? And she never showed any emotion probably until we actually got home. And then that's when she kind of sat us all down. She was like, you know, Daddy was killed tonight. And I just remember my body just getting numb. Like, I couldn't even talk. I was like, what? I just had that lump in my throat. Like, you got to be kidding me. And I just remember my grandma and them had came over, and I just remember telling everybody, like, Daddy's dead, you know, Daddy's dead. And that night, cried myself to sleep, and that's pretty much what started it all. So, but it's crazy. I remember that night like it was yesterday, specific details, and I remember which highway we was on and everything. So
It's
it's
stuff like that went from when we were kids that you remember that.
mm-hmm.
I remember. Well, my dad, he passed away when I was 4. He had cancer, so I don't really remember a whole lot about him. I just remember. I remember I got a whooping, and I know this don't sound what I did is a little nasty, but I used to uh, drink out the toilet.
Did you?
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Oh yeah, you really.
because you know, your parents be like, you can't get nothing to drink after a certain time, and if you turned on the water,
Oh.
they would know. So I would sneak in the bathroom, and I had the little Dixie cups, and I was drinking out the. And my mom told my dad, and I got a whooping. But I just remember my dad having this big. It was something with his leg. His leg was like bigger than my body is right now. And then I remember his funeral. Going to it, I had a little gray suit on, but I don't remember nothing else. I just remember being there. I didn't cry, and that was it. So it wasn't the same as like getting a call or anything of that sort. But I do remember when my grandfather passed away, he fell in his sleep, and we were over my sister's dad is my dad because my dad died when I was younger. So we were over his house, and he got a call, and I knew something told me it's like that's about granddaddy. And I just knew, and it was like he told us. It was like you said, I was like numb, and I never seen my mom cry until then. And I'm talking about the ugly,
yeah,
snot, and her and my grandma they hugging me, and because I'm the only guy. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like 15,
right?
I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? And all I remember is like after we left, I just went to go play basketball with my homies. Like it was a normal day, but then. I also told him afterwards, but it was just different being a kid, like and understanding like death. So after that, did you have, I wouldn't say PTSD, but did you have like trauma from that? Like being a kid and like, cause you were 9, so you were at an age where you knew dad, you knew what was going on. And so how did that like change your life? Like going forward, like having someone there and then boom,
it was a big life adjustment, especially at that age. Because and unfortunately, my brother, with him being 3, he has no memories of my dad. So a lot of all of the memories I have to share with him. Like, hey, I was a daddy's girl. We was doing something every weekend. I was like, if he left the house, I was pulling on his leg, like I'm coming with him. And so to have that stripped away from you at that young of an age, it's like literally a part of you is gone. And I felt like that growing up. I was like, something's just missing. Like he's not here. I can't talk to him about boyfriend issues, any of that. So it was like, it was crushing at that age. But I grew up fine. A lot of that responsibility kind of fell on my mom and my grandma to raise me and my brother. Yeah. And they did an amazing job. Like, we both grew up. We were successful. We both are college graduates. So I'm proud of how far we come because a lot of people sometimes don't recover from that. Yeah. And like you said, the PTSD, it hits people differently. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it does. Because like people grown, like to lose a parent's different maybe than being a kid.
Right.
Like you had that person there. And I remember it was different for me, even though my dad and my mom wasn't together. I don't really remember him like being there or whatever. But it was like my sister would be like, "Oh, your dad died." She be evil. And I remember one day I beat her up, and my mom was like, "That's what you get." But then she also got on me. It's like you got to let that go. You can't hang on to that and be mad at somebody else. So I used to. Like have these dreams like, oh, my dad was here, I wouldn't have to live here, and him being this superhero. And then I found out he wasn't. Like he like used to do stuff that illegally, and then he used to put his hands on my mom. So that made me even like, oh, I really might not even like Buddy.
Right.
You put your hands on my mom, was like, I'm ready to go at war with anybody. Like anybody. Yeah. So it's like sometimes that can mess a kid up because like maybe for your brother. He could have been like, oh, this is what, or somebody could have been like, oh, yeah, maybe told him one bad moment. And then you just thought of, oh, this person is being bad. But then you find out later in life that they was a good person. So it sucks for a kid to lose their parent because you kind of don't even understand it. And
not
then
at that
like
time.
You saying like you with him everywhere you go all the time. And then it's like, boom, it's like, oh, wow, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So, I don't know why this question came up, but I thought about it because I see a lot of single moms. They have daughters. Did your mom ever have put any positive men in your life after your dad?
Yeah.
In a way?
She's had a couple of positive men that we kind of looked up to. Like there was some that was there, 6-8 years of my life. And, whether they made it official or they never got married or anything. But yeah, I had some real nice positive male models around. I had uncles that was always on standby because my dad, he had a big family. So I think I'm not even about to lie, but I think it was like a good 7, 8 of them. So I had uncles and and Lord forgive me if the number is off, but so yeah, they was always supportive. Like it was always about the Jones family taking care of me, and I always had the family on my mom's side there too as for support. So it's amazing to have that.
So
definitely need it.
Now thinking about it, and don't want to get off track of where we're going with the conversation. How important for a young girl do you think it is to have positive influence? And it don't have to be someone they mom date. It could be someone from school. It could be a pastor. It could be anybody. How important do you think that is? Because I was looking at like a lot of single moms, their friends be single, they mama single, or it's a lot of single and there's no men around, but I feel like there needs to be men around for any kind of child. So how do you like the importance of that when a child does or doesn't have that male influence?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important.
Especially a girl, I mean to cut you up with a girl.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very important because, you know, your mom is always going to do as much as she can. She always going to wear multiple hats. She's always going to claim I'm the mama and the daddy. And that's kind of how she has to stand her ground, you know, to be respected in the house. But the man, it's something about that man like perspective that a woman or a young girl is going to need growing up, because a woman can't answer everything, especially when it comes to a men's perspective. So having that guidance, and especially if they're positive, it can really be uplifting, I think, especially when that young girl starts dating. And you know, you can come to your mom about certain things, but something about a man, like, you know, so this guy I'm talking to, he's got X, Y, and Z ways about him, so what does that mean? Or should I proceed with caution? You know, because men are going to be able to pick up on another man's behavior. So that's excruciating. Like that, I think is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think women don't realize that sometimes. That even though it don't have to be somebody you dating, it could be a coach, it could be something, but a positive male influence. Because I have a daughter. She's not biologically mine, but she's still my daughter. And I remember when she turned like 12. And that's crazy to think about, talking about boys.
Right.
We had just went to go see The Hate You Give, and I was telling her and my niece, which is her cousin, like, hey, I know eventually y'all gonna have, and it was like speaking in the future, I was like, I know y'all eventually gonna have sex at some point in your life. I was like, just don't be a hoe.
Oh, okay. Straight to it, huh?
Straight to it. Because that's what sometimes a woman, oh, you shouldn't. No, I'm gonna give you the game. Or if you see a little boy, hey, he don't want nothing but this. Or I was like, telling her like, hey, when you do this and you send this to a certain boy, boys talk just as much as girls do.
Yeah.
So when you do certain stuff, guess what? The whole little crew know, and then the whole little crew might go tell, and then not everything. And they might not see that from a woman's perspective, because women might not know or say, hey, boys talk just as much as girls. So I just wanted to know that, because I feel like that's a lack in the community of having a positive male influence for a girl. And I get it, how the world is shaped and all this different stuff, but I just think young girls should have somebody they can go to talk to, because we speak logic, y'all speak feelings. And feelings ain't gonna get you to where you need to.
Exactly.
So
that's right.
So you lose your dad, you gotta continue life. You gotta keep pushing. How did you like life for you, like as in school, as in like friends and stuff? How did that like change for you? Did your grades fall? Did you keep going? Were you the same person, or did you have to maybe get back on track?
I would say I didn't experience like any problems like in school. I feel like probably like in my teens, I had got to the point where I had accepted what had happened and I was at peace about it. And, you know, for years I was angry. Like, I was like, you know, why did this have to happen to my family? You know, specifically my dad. Like, why me? I did the why me question for years. But then it got to the point where it was draining. And I'm like, well, I can't be living life. And, you know, back then, counseling and therapy wasn't really big. So my mom and my grandma didn't know, like, maybe these kids might need therapy, you know, and they probably would have been more helpful. And I encourage that for any child that experiences this in this day and age to definitely go through that, because, you know, they have grief counseling now, and that's a big thing. So I think like growing up, I was good. like I kind of just had to numb that, and I realized later that I had been carrying a lot of weight for years. And I realized that in my late 20s when I share a story about it later. But yeah, I did pretty good though. Grades was good. I was always excelling in all my classes, graduated with my bachelor. So I was pretty successful despite the odds. I would definitely say that.
I was the total opposite.
Really?
The total opposite. And I think it was because I remember like having male influence in my life. Because my dad, he was there, but he wasn't there like the guy that I call my dad. Because he worked and they got a divorce, so you had to deal with that. And I just remember my mom always put me in little stuff, but I'm like, why? Nobody dealing with that. Nobody listening. But I remember when my grandfather died, because that was like my homie. That was my best friend. That was the first time I think somebody passed away that it actually like hurt.
Yeah.
Under like, oh, because I talked to him almost every day of my life, or every week of my life, I would say. So when that happened, I'm like, school, skip that. I'm doing regular school and night school.
Oh,
so my
dang.
mom, my best friend at the time, his dad was our pastor, and she took me to him. But it wasn't like on some, oh, you need to go talk to the pastor. No, you need to talk to him as like he your son. Like get on him.
Oh yeah.
He got on me, and I remember I was in there crying, and then I remember my mom, she was crying of like hurt, like you just in here messing up. And after that, I told her I graduate. I graduated with a 1.7, so it wasn't that great. But I feel like if I had more of a male influence or somebody there to get on me, because I need somebody to talk to me crazy. I'm a little off.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't just come and be like, oh yeah, you might have to cuss me out just for me to understand what you're saying. So, and like, so I remember that part when my grandfather died, it went left for me. It was like, no, I'm not going to continue. And then even in college, I just didn't like school. I think I didn't like school because how they taught school and what they teach you. It's like, I don't.
Oh yeah, you ain't gonna need it. Yeah.
So like you got you went to school, you did everything good, you stayed on track. I didn't after someone tragically left. So what did you want to be? What did you want to do when you were a kid?
So when I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a veterinarian. And then when I went to school and they told me, well, because I was a big dog lover, that's all I had been around. So didn't really have like experience with a lot of different other animals. And I remember being in school and they was like, well, you might have to take care of a horse one day, or you might have to go treat a pig or something. And I'm like, wait, I ain't trying to sign up for that now. I'm just a dog lover. Can I be a dog veterinarian? And they was like, no, that's not how it works. So I had to like change my whole track. So I was like, okay. They told me to get like a science degree to kind of help lead into veterinarian. I'm like, okay, so I'm in science now. I might as well stick with it because this was probably about a year or two in. I'm like, okay, let's go a different route. So I just stuck with biology. I love science. I love working in the lab. So I pretty much carried it on through for the 4 years and came out strong. And now I actually work in my field. A lot of people can't say that like, oh, I don't use that degree, but I actually do use it like now working in labs and stuff like that. So
that's dope. You don't really hear too many kind of like scientists,
right? Yeah.
But, buddy that was just in here, his girl, she does something with science too.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah.
So y'all two the first people, and that's why I like talking to different people because you never know. So
yeah,
when you got in school, was it like, okay, maybe I want to quit, this ain't it? Or was it like, okay, I'm going to just figure it out and keep it going?
Oh, yeah, I was going to figure it out and keep going because the way I was raised and my grandma, my mom, it was passed down to like, you're going to go to school, you're going to graduate, you're going to use that degree, find you a solid job, and you're going to retire in about 50 years. That's how that was ingrained in my mind. And I know a lot of people are raised differently, but I was on that track like, okay, I just got to find a solid job, rock out, and I'm good. Yeah. Have my little 401k and all that, and I was gonna be good. And then I realized that like no, this is not it, because I feel like when it comes to entrepreneurship, it found me. I didn't go looking for it because I was on a whole nother track. So it's funny how things kind of play out. The older you get, the more you learn. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I know, because when I was younger, what I thought at first it was NBA, and then I realized you had to have good grades to even try out for the team. So that kind of squashed. But then I was like, I always not entrepreneur. I don't think I knew what entrepreneur, but I was like, I want to do something where I'm not working for somebody. And I never knew what it was. And then, like I just said, I hated school. Now I've been in the education field for the last 6 going on 7 years.
Oh, that's
never
what's
would have thought. My sister went to school, got the degree to be a teacher. She's not. I am.
Wow.
Like, never would have thought, because like you said, like as a kid, you thinking all this different stuff, and then you become an adult. It's like, no, your path goes a different way. So that's just crazy that I'm even in the schools, because I didn't like school at all.
Dang.
But it's like, there's a kid like me. There's kids like me that don't like school for whatever reason. Part of it, I used to get bullied. That I didn't like school part because of that. But just how I just didn't like. I don't even like people telling me what to do.
Oh,
Homework,
yeah.
and all that extra. So, but now, like being an adult and having kids and just having a child graduate high school and being in college, like you understand the educational part, the knowledge part, the learning part. But you gotta be able to have a mix when you go to school. Because I still think. Never mind. I don't know if I can say that. I don't want to get fired. But, education. We just need to add some extra classes that teach kids life skills.
Exactly. Like those are important, crucial, like how to build your credit at a young age, or what to, like, man, business wise too. Like even like steering people if they want to do entrepreneurship, start encouraging them in high school, so then they can make that decision on whether college is going to benefit them or not. Because college isn't for everybody. So.
I don't think nowadays college is as important when we were younger.
Exactly.
You can do a lot of stuff without it. And I just I remember like we had a entrepreneur class because I was just looking at my grade, like my mom sent me on my report card. So I had one in like I think 10th or 11th grade. And I remember we had to do a project, and the project was like come up with your own business. We did a great job. We went to the because I'm from Michigan City. And we went to the Lighthouse Mall. We got the mall manager, not just the manager of a store, the manager of the mall. Gave him our idea. He was like, boom, that's good. But the teacher didn't like me. So instead of getting like an A, we got like a B minus. And I'm like, how can we get that? And we just went to the mall manager, and he said if this was a real store, he would put it in the mall.
Right.
So stuff like that. But then you have a teacher that could shut my dream down. But my mom also put me in an entrepreneur camp. It was really just a camp, but it was an entrepreneur camp, and that's why I, do the entrepreneur thing. So you said entrepreneurship found you. How?
Well, let's see.
You got the job. You got it. You wait until you 50 plus years.
Yeah.
How did that find you?
So I would say it hit me probably 20 years after my father's death. And God simply came to me. He said, I want you to forgive the woman that killed your father. Just like that. And, sometimes when we get hit with stuff like that, we have follow-up questions like, well, Lord, like, what's that got to do with what I'm doing now? Like my life in general, because like I had stated before, I had already accepted it. I was at peace, and I had already forgiven her in my life because I knew that was what I was supposed to do. So I was good. I'm like, I can just move forward now. And he was like, well, it's not about you. And I was like, oh, excuse me. He put me in my place definitely that day. And I just remember I felt like an urgency, like in my spirit, like I need you to extend that forgiveness to her, and I need you to do it ASAP. But I didn't know why it was so urgent. So I remember telling my mom and grandma about it, like, hey, it's hitting my spirit that I need to meet with her and forgive her in person. Yeah, actually meet with her. And so luckily my mom had been keeping up with her entire sentence. So she knew which facility she was transferred to. She knew how to contact her if we needed to write her. So my mom had been on top of it all those years. And she never knew why she stayed on top of it, because she was like, I don't know. I didn't know why I was doing it. But it all made sense at that moment, because now I had information to communicate with her. And since I was at a place where I was good, I could like talk to her, and it wasn't no malice, and I was not angry at all. So I remember it started off with us writing letters, and then about the 4th or 5th letter, it escalated to us coordinating a date to meet. So building up to that, I'm like, oh, Lord, what am I getting myself into? Because this is about to be crazy. You don't hear about people doing this, So leading up to the visit, it was me, my mom, and her childhood friend had met. And not to share too many details about the exact visit, but I would just say it was amazing, life-changing experience for me because I remember leaving the prison and my mom was like, how do you feel? And I was like, so much lighter. Like I literally felt like 10 to 20 pounds had been lifted off of my shoulders. And I would have to say that was probably the second most pivotal moment in my life is when like I feel like my pain had turned into purpose. And I say that because the whole drive home, which was about an hour and a half drive back to Indy, like it seemed like God was like fueling our spirit to say, you know, you guys said you want to honor your dad. This is what y'all can do. Y'all can start a nonprofit. These are the programs y'all can do. And ultimately, you guys are going to help families that have been impacted by the same thing that you was. So just like that. And that's how it started. A year after that, we launched my nonprofit and we've been going since then.
That's amazing because you don't, like you said, you don't hear that. And then for you to actually have to, you know, follow up and do that. And then your mom having the information, we don't know why people do certain stuff or why certain stuff happens. And that's the reason why.
Yeah.
That's dope that you actually listen to God because sometimes we don't.
Exactly.
And you could have missed your blessing or living out your purpose. I think sometimes we delay our purpose because we don't listen.
Exactly.
We don't listen because God will tell you to do something. You be like, really?
Yeah.
You want me to do that? But I also remember, I don't know if you know who Wallow267 is. He do podcasts and he like an influencer. And he went to jail. His brother went to jail with him, but his brother got killed like in his grandma, like he got shot and died in his grandma's arms. And he forgave his killer. Like he locked up. He wanted to go and you know, get retaliation and all that, but he forgave his because he was locked up. It's like, what can I do? I'm just gonna be in here, like you said.
Right.
You're gonna be angry, you're gonna be mad. And then it was like a weight lifted off, like him forgiving his brother's killer. So I don't think people understand the weight that pain holds on you.
Yeah.
It'll weigh on you, like me being mad at the world that my dad died, but then for what?
Yeah.
I'm just angry at everybody else. They don't care. They living their life. They going on their Mosley way. It's like you got to figure out, why are you angry? Why are you upset? That, like, was there a lot of tears?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
I boohoo like a baby.
I feel like just being there, sitting there, I've probably been cool and all that, but then actually looking that person in the face,
yes,
it's like, yeah. So, but that's good that they, you know, the person got caught because sometimes stuff happen.
Yeah.
And people don't get caught. So, before this podcast, I had another one, and I had a co-host, and the last day we did an episode, it was like the worst best day doing it with each other because we got in an argument because I said something about her boyfriend, not like bad, but she just didn't want nobody to say nothing about him. So she was about not to do the episode. We did the episode. We had a meeting. We had everything, like where we wanted to go with the podcast. It was a Thursday. That Monday, she got hit by a car. And then a few weeks later, she really probably was going away when she got hit. But, you know, they tried to wait it out her family, and she passed away. And I'm sitting there like, God, so we just had all this meeting and all these plans of where we want to take the podcast, and now she's gone. What am I supposed to do?
Wow.
Like, what am I supposed I was lost for months, and then I started doing this one, and things have been doing what it's supposed to. But it's like, why do we have to go through certain stuff to see the light? But that's just how life rolls.
Yeah.
So you start the entrepreneur. Y'all 9-to-5ers. Y'all working. You used to set schedule, all that. So boom, you start that. How does that go? And like, just describe that little journey of the beginning part of that journey.
Oh yeah. So in the beginning, of course, you know, we did the whole legal stuff, you know, got our 501c3 tax exemption status, which is needed to be like a legal nonprofit organization. So we went through like the back work of that. Like I had to invest in myself, and I enrolled in a course like how to start your nonprofit in 30 days. Cause I was like, I was blind to it. I'm like, I don't know nothing about business. So I'm Googling, and I'm getting even more confused, just looking it up like, Lord, you put me in this, where do I start? So I just remember taking that course. I did it from start to finish. By the end of the course, I got our 501c3 status. So then at that point, I'm like, oh, we up and running now. So like, what do I do now? Like, like what kind of programs are we going to offer? So we initially just started off just keeping it simple. We wanted to give away scholarships to like high school seniors or college students who had lost a parent to gun violence, because we wanted to make sure our programs were in line with what we went through. Because people, when people go through stuff, they want to hear from people that went through the same thing. I feel like that's the only way they really going to listen. And so we were like, okay, we'll start off with this program. And ever since then, I think we've built onto that. And then we were like, okay, what else is a big need in the community when people lose like those immediate family members, especially the gun violence? And it was like, okay, well, usually I know in our case, we have financial hardship. So let's start like a bereavement assistant program that helps cover some of those funeral costs or unexpected bills that you get when that loved one is just stripped out of your life just like that. So that's probably been one of our biggest programs. Is like we've been able to help so many families just here in Indianapolis. And you guys know, like the gun violence we're in a gun violence epidemic right now. So every week is something new. Like, oh, this person was killed. And I always think, oh, their family. Like, I always think about the family because that's who's left to pick up the pieces after that person is gone. So I think the 2 programs we've had so far has been extremely successful. And I've been loving every minute of it. And, eventually my goal is to be able to do this full time, because I can only imagine the 8 hours that I'm at my job now, putting that into my nonprofit. Oh, I can imagine the sky is going to be the limit for that. So I'm looking forward to that overall.
I love that you still work and doing that, because like a lot of times people want to just jump into it. Like, jump in the pool. You don't know how to swim. You just want to,
right.
Like you said, because we had a mentor program. Started, man, you got to learn the 501 and all this. I had other people, like my ex-wife. She was doing that. I had a buddy doing all the other stuff. I just like to be the voice. I just like to go and talk. So all that other stuff. But then you have to learn about it, because if you don't, then somebody could do you wrong. Or something like you might not have the right paperwork. You might taxes. You don't never want to play with them. So I had to learn that different stuff. And then like with actual taxes, like doing your business tax and all that, and just doing different stuff that necessarily I didn't see somebody growing up do.
Exactly.
And like you having to go do it. And even like this, like podcasting, I had to learn all this because I do everything. And it's like, it sucks, but then it doesn't, because now you're learning your field. Now you're able to, if I can produce a podcast, maybe I can produce a TV show.
Yep, there you go.
A movie. So it's always reasons why you have to do certain stuff, especially as an entrepreneur, because it's times where you sitting there like, man, I'm at this job. I don't even want to really be here. I want to be at doing my own thing. So for me, like when I'm sitting around and not doing what I'm supposed to, I'll be like, this is the time you're supposed to do what you need to do. Because you could be at work and trying to do both things and mess up with your job, but then when you go home, you don't do what you're supposed to do for yourself.
Exactly.
But it's hard, because being in the education and these little kids and their parents and other teachers, it drains you. So I try to get as much done, or I try to schedule each day of what I want to do. So speaking of schedule, how do you do it? How do you go to work, come home, run your nonprofit, think of the idea, set up events, do all that stuff? Do you have a team? Do you do it by yourself? Or is it where you have it scheduled, you have routines and stuff of that sort?
So I'm not going to lie, I'm still struggling with the whole scheduling thing. I'm still learning this whole life-work balance, because it's just life be lifing. So it's like, oh, gosh. So like, of course, I work my 8 to 5. I come home. I have a 5-year-old daughter to tend to, and now she's in kindergarten now. So now I got all that, having to get her home, feed her, get her in a bath, make sure she's taken care of, do any schoolwork, and then get her in bed. So then by that time, I'm like physically and mentally exhausted. So it might be some nights I don't even get to touch anything when it comes to my nonprofit. And it hurts me sometimes. I wake up and be like, dang, if I could have just stayed up a little bit longer, I probably could have got this done. I could have got that done. So I'm just learning to like balance it, like, maybe set days like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. I'm going to designate some time after work, no matter how tired I am. I'm going to say, if it ain't nothing but an hour, do it. And come up with a game plan. Okay, what do I need to do? What's my to-do list? And then the good thing about having nonprofits, you're required to have board members or other people considered directors. So I think for the state of Indiana, you have to have a minimum of 3 people to help you run your nonprofit, which I think that's dope. So like I'm always texting my team like, hey, I got this idea. Let's make it happen. Let's schedule a meeting on Zoom and go from there. So like once we have something in place, we know what type of event we want to host. Then the easy part comes, just spreading the word, asking for donations if we need it. But yeah, it's definitely a struggle. I'm not going to lie, especially, having a child and
a little child. And
yes.
I was a kindergarten teacher last year, so I know they come home and telling you all about their day and all that. Yeah, so I think that's the hard part as a parent because you don't want to go to work, come home, work, and then forget your child and leave them out. Because like this weekend, I've had a lot of stuff to do, but yesterday I'm like, all right, we going to my bro's family reunion. This is gonna be the time where I'm not doing no work. You have fun, I'm gonna have fun. Today I was like, you can come with me, or you can go to the fair. He chose the fair. So I'm like, that's cool. All right, here goes some money for who you going with. You go have you a good time. And usually it'll be basketball on weekends. So my weekends, it's like Friday, Saturday, I can't do nothing. So Sunday might be my day of recording and editing and doing all that. Like Sunday, I might have to just shut it down where I can't do nothing.
Right.
Like you said, you got to pick certain days to where you do stuff. I had a clothing line also, but I was like, that's too much. I'm gonna have to. I still got it, but I'm like, I can't run everything by myself and do it. And that's good that you got a team.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Lord, I can't wait to have a team. I don't think people understand how crucial having a team is for what you do. Because if you don't have a team, you gonna want to throw the towel in. Yeah,
and make sure you get a solid team too, because it's very important. Like you need people that's dependable. Like you can call them and say, "Hey, I need this done. I know you're gonna get it done." Yeah. And have people that like are passionate about your vision just as much as you are, because you want them to go. Like if you gone, you want them to be able to carry that out too. So make sure you find solid
business. Is your team? They your friends?
Yeah, I have one. I have a couple friends on there. And I have my mom is on there, of course. And I have a lady that's out in Chicago that helps. She's kind of like a publicist. So she kind of helps with a lot of stuff. And strangely enough, I actually have the lady that killed my father is on my board. So she got released a couple years after I came to visit her, and little did I know, I thought that was just the end of us. I said, I'm sorry. I mean, I forgave her and I thought we was going to carry on with life, but God had other plans. So she's been very active in like volunteering and
that's dope on her part though.
Right.
Because like you might feel guilt inside, but then like because you're helping people that lost someone, and then you could feel like you're the person that lost it, but then it's like, okay, maybe if this didn't happen, all this did. It's just weird how life is. Me thinking that I'm gonna go a whole different direction of the podcast, thinking about that. But that just sound like a movie,
right?
It sound like yeah, I need to do a movie. Like for real, like the person, y'all do however it was when you were kids, and then years later you eventually go meet her, and then now y'all work.
Now we are literally working together.
I've seen that somewhere. That's crazy. That's dope though.
Yeah,
that's dope that God allowed both of y'all to take whatever y'all had inside and be able to work together, and now y'all helping other families. So tell us, we didn't skip way over the title of the foundation. Tell us what the foundation is, and tell us a little bit like who it helps. Like you kind of said it, but just tell us the name and like who it helps and what is your overall goal.
Okay. So, of course, the organization was named after my father. So it's the Raymond K. Jones Foundation. And we pretty much help families who have been victimized to gun violence. We provide those educational resources with the scholarships. And then we have our bereavement assistant program as well. And so I would say like our end goal is just to keep adding to our programs, because there's so many other areas that I know that we can help, especially when it comes to grief. A lot of families that we've helped, they're like, hey, do you have a grief support as well? And I'm like, no, not at this time, but we're definitely going to get that eventually. And then we actually want to start partnering with prisons and other like juvenile centers as well, like to go in and actually share our story because she has that connection with people who were in prison. And so that's how we can kind of connect with them as well. So that's kind of what me and her plan is, to like kind of travel the world, share our story, go in and out of these prison systems and just see how many lives we can change. Because I mean, if we change one life, I feel like it was all worth it. Like,
That's dope. Like, y'all go together, y'all team, and y'all can go in there because like you give different perspectives. You give one side of the person that caused the pain, and then you get the side of the victim, and then to see that y'all are able to work together, that's gonna help people beyond like what you probably even imagine. Because think about the people that someone killed, and like to talk to them or sit down and look at them and to see them on an everyday basis. I mean, you're a lot older now, so you know you move past that, but just I don't even know.
Yeah, like people ask me, like I've had family to this day, like on my dad's side, it's like, how are you doing this? Because it's still some of my family members that are not at that place to where they have forgiven her. And some have. Since I've forgiven her, I have uncles that have come to me like, I'm ready to forgive her too. And I'm like, wow. Yeah. So I'm telling y'all, the power of forgiveness is, it's life-changing. Yeah. And I encourage that for everyone. Don't hold grudges against people. Forgive them and move on. And like in my case, I'm thinking, I forgave her for me. But it was for her too as well. So that's when it hits people differently.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know, I look at death different because I've never had, like, besides my granddad, my granddad and my granny, I haven't had like other people close to me pass. So I just look at it different. It's like it's so long ago that it happened that we still holding on, because I don't know, because I feel like I hold a grudge against my dad's family because I was 4 when he died. Nobody ever came to see me. No one ever, like, I never met, to my knowledge, I've never met my dad's dad. He passed away some years ago, and my brother told me, I'm like, okay.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I talked to him on the phone because I called him, and it was like, I just got to I don't know who these people are to even go talk to them, but it's like, I can't hold this grudge against them because of how they acted, even though like my brother used to be like, oh, you talk to such, I don't know who you talking about, bro. I don't know these people.
Yeah.
So I always felt like I was the kid. So y'all should have like, y'all just left y'all brother's son just to hang. Yeah. And I used to have an uncle that lived in he still lives in my city. He lived in my city. I would see him, and something about him just made me look at him different.
Yeah.
And then I found out he was my uncle. Wow. And now he has a relationship with my son, because my mom, takes him around and have him meet people. And it's like, I was mad at first. Yeah. And it's the first time I'm saying this on like camera or anything. I was mad like when my mom told me, because I'm like, how you got a relationship with him and not me? Yeah. But it's like, it's not for me. It's for him, my son, to know like that side. And it's like, you got to let it go. So like forgiveness is very important. I'm a Taurus, so I'm real stubborn when it comes to that. Like, I forgive, but I remember. Yeah. I remember what you did, and that still, I'm like, I forgave you, but I don't rock with you like that.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's normal. Yeah.
But just sitting there and think about it and talk about it, like, you got to let stuff go.
Yeah.
Hold on. Because if you do, who knows if I met one of my family members and the relationship we could have or whatever that case may be. Or like with your situation, like, who knows what would have happened? I mean, it almost sounds like, if you coming from your family point, like, what would have happened to that lady? It's like, some people might be like, fuck that lady. What happened to her? Yeah. It's like, no, she's a human too.
Exactly.
So, I didn't know we having a lifetime special here. I didn't know that.
Right.
But that's good for people to hear, like, that you forgave and you're able to function and not get mad, because it could be times where something bad happened or something happened and you just look over like, and something trigger you. Yeah. And that's good that y'all able to do that. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm still thinking of the movie. I could be the director.
Man,
But
let's speak it into existence.
yeah, no, I'm still like it really could, and I think it would help people. Just me sitting here thinking like how someone was be able to forgive the person that killed their family member, but then to also be able to have a foundation and that person work with them.
Yeah.
Like you a strong individual. It's a Jones thing. Y'all won't understand.
Exactly.
But, so
Yeah.
talking about forgiveness, with your story, give 3 actionable steps of how people can forgive.
That's good. I've never been asked that before. So I would say like the first step is kind of accept, what has happened. So whether it doesn't matter what that person has done to you, accept that it has happened. It's nothing that you can do about it. You can't go back in time and change it and say, oh, I wish I would have responded this way, or I wish they would have never came at me like that. So just accept the fact that it has happened. And then I would say like the second part would be, I don't want to say like forgiving yourself, or not, I guess not beating yourself up so much about it would probably be like the second part. And then the third would be just extend that forgiveness in your heart to that person. Whether, you may not ever encounter that person again. Like in my case, I thought that's the way it was going to be. I forgave her in my heart and I had moved on from it, but God had other plans and God has different plans for all of us. So who knows what you extending that forgiveness to them, how that might change their life. Like in my case, I didn't know that was something that she had been praying about the entire time she was in prison, was just to get that forgiveness from me and my family. That's the only thing that she prayed for. And it's funny how things come back around. And so that's why it's always bigger than us. So never like, say, oh, this is a grudge I have with somebody. It's probably something bigger that's going to come out of it. Like not every case, but I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it was really her prayer.
Yeah.
That made all this go, because God is graceful and merciful God. That's it. Because if that was in control of somebody else, they've been praying, they wouldn't have answered the phone. Why you keep calling?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
This. I wasn't expecting this. Okay. All right. This is definitely a show. This ain't even a Tubi movie. Don't put it on Tubi. This
right.
Netflix, Hulu, something, Amazon Prime, something of that sort.
Yeah.
So I love those tips because they're simple and that's what you have to do to forgive. So, I appreciate your story. I looked up and I didn't know it was like this. I didn't know it was like it's got me thinking. Like, it's messing me up because I'm supposed to ask questions and stuff.
No.
I'm just sitting there thinking, like, okay, who I need to forgive for real, for real.
Yeah.
If you can forgive that person, that's going to make me always remember she forgave the person that killed her dad. I can forgive you.
Yeah.
You ain't done nothing that bad to me to where you killed a family member. I can forgive you.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
Yeah. People use that as an excuse nowadays. Oh, I would never forgive that person because they did X, Y, and Z. But it's like, why? Yeah. Why even hold on to that?
So if you, Whitney Jones, can forgive the person that killed your dad, we can all forgive anybody even if they did kill. I mean, everybody different in different circumstances, but we can forgive.
Yeah.
So I applaud you for listening to God. And being able to work with that person, but also having the foundation to be able to help others and not just have helped yourself and you and the lady just build a relationship between yourself, but to show the world that you can really forgive somebody and work with them. And even though they probably gave you the most pain you might have endured in your life to that point, but that's just crazy. So I applaud you for that. So tell, I need a quote. Threw off my whole. I forgot where we doing.
Where we supposed to be going?
I need a quote. It could be your quote. It could be a quote you live by. Whatever. But I need a quote.
Okay, I got you. Let's see. What's a good quote I got for y'all? So I would say, no matter what kind of business you have, whether it's for profit, nonprofit, always keep God first in your business. He should always be at the top of your business plan. If you even have to list him as a board member, do that, because I honestly wouldn't be in the position that I am in now to be able to impact as many families as I have. And I think just being obedient is changed the whole trajectory in my life. Imagine if I wouldn't have listened to him when he said, go do what I did. And she would have got released from prison and we probably would have lost contact with her. And then that would have threw off everything. I don't know if this foundation would even be here. Yeah. So just imagine just not responding or answering that one request that he has for you, how it can change the rest of your life, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know that's probably not a quote, but hopefully that was.
Yeah, that's good.
That's kind of drawn out.
It's times like that where I have people, on and they tell a story and I'm sitting here like, well, maybe my life ain't that, like, or a certain situation ain't that bad.
Yeah.
That's the point of hearing different underdog story and seeing how they turn into a successful underdog, because it ain't too many people that could be sitting right there and say they did what you did.
Mm-hmm.
We all know somebody that lost their life from, whatever kind of thing of someone killing them or something happening, and it's like, dang, oh wow. Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. I already thought of the title, but I ain't gonna say it on here.
Oh, I'm excited.
Because I think just how it is, how the title, I think people will be like, okay, what is this about? And then when they listen to the story, they're gonna be like, wow, because it's really making me sit here like I really need to forgive some people. So I'm not gonna keep talking because I need to write some people's names down and stuff. But tell people how they can reach you and how they can work with you and your foundation.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So on Facebook, I'm just listed as Whitney Jones. On Instagram, my username is Hey, HEY _Whitney, WHITNEYY. And the good thing is in my bio, I have all of my business pages listed. So you guys can feel free to follow my pages, check us out. And then if you want to check out our website, it's www.rkjfoundation.org. So yeah, if you guys have like any questions at all, or if you are a nonprofit out there and you want to like partner with us, feel free to DM me. I'm here to help and I'm open to answering any questions you guys have. So.
All right. I'm sorry, audience. I'm still tripping. Because because I'm a person that does, like, I hold grudges.
Oh.
Like, but it's not, I don't hold the grudge it's like, I could just be done with you.
Yeah.
And not really care, but I hold whatever you did of the reason. So that's why I'm just tripping. But yeah, say something to close us. I don't know. close us on out here.
So I would just say for anybody that is like in your situation, they hold grudges and they just don't have forgiveness in their heart, I would just say pray about it. Pray for, to have that forgiving type spirit, because I just want to challenge y'all. Like, if you are feuding with somebody right now, try forgiving them. Like, really genuinely sit down and be like, you know what? You did this to me, but it's all good. And if you even want to take it a step further and reach out to that person and say, you know what, I forgive you. However they respond is however they're going to respond. But at least you did your part. And just see how much weight you feel when you do that. But you got to be genuine about it too. Don't just do it if you're not ready. Take your time. Like, everybody processes things differently. It took me 20 years, to get to that point. So take your time. It's no rush, but I just challenge you to just try it. And I'm telling you, it's going to be life-changing.
And on that note,